it affects our our operation. The line okay, is it? Everyone can hear me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, good. So we talk about the globalization, we talk about the technology, the consolidation and integration, how because the bigger the company is, they can penetrate and they can impose certain rule and regulation. Macam apa yang I mentioned last week about the Walmart, because they are big, even they are bigger, the income bigger than what we as a nation can generate. So they can influence, the suppliers. Those who want to do business with them have to follow dia punya set rules dan sebagainya. So these are the things that we as a company have to follow, because if not, we will miss out in the business. And we are talking about the technology nowadays. People, we rely on the technology. When we do business dan sebagainya, we are talking about the GPS, we are talking about the RFIS, about the warehouse management system, how we millions of things, million of item, 100,000 of item in our warehouse. Kalau dulu the one that I give you example is, kalau lah kita ada just 10 item in our warehouse, senang, we can remember where is the location dan sebagainya. But we are talking about 100, we are talking about thousand of items. So we have to have a proper system to manage our warehouse. Then we are talking about the consumer. People now, they are very smart. They can just rely on the technology. They can make comparison with product which can give them better benefit, better prices dan sebagainya. We also talking talks about the government policy and regulation. The government now, they want to because of the environment punya consideration. So we have to preserve the environment on the sustainability, and they impose certain rules and regulation. Macam apa ni nak buat, contoh saya nak bagi tu macam electric car. Kalau lah if we are a car manufacturer, kita pengeluar kereta umpamanya, so we have to abide. Kalau government kata by the 2040 all car in the country have to be electric car, no more fossil based car. Kalau lah we still produce the traditional, the conventional fossil based car, we will be left out in the business. So we have to be aware on this thing. We have to be aware on this thing. Kemudian the important, the explain facilitation, about the transportation system. Transportation system, I mentioned about, we can classify into two for the transportation. We have to have the infrastructure, and also at the same time we have to provide the services, the transport services, by utilizing this kind of infrastructure. And the role of transport, just to recap balik, there are two. It is the movement, to move people and to move goods. People ni involve kita lah. Normally kita ni is a human. What differentiate human is kadang-kadang we can classify according to the those the elderly, those who are the children dan sebagainya. Kita juga boleh classify, kita boleh juga based on the disabled and yang normal punya ni. Dan itu juga dengan movement of goods. We are talking about goods ni. There are many kind of goods. Liquid, cair, they need a special punya arrangement. We are talking about last week ni tentang liquid, I mentioned that there are many type of goods. Macam animal, there are semi-finished good, finished good dan sebagainya. Barang-barang yang barang-barang separuh siap, yang dah siap, raw material. There are many form of goods dan sebagainya. So kalau lah kapal umpamanya, kapal ke macam-macam, they are built to suit certain specific type of goods ni. Kalau kita guna tanker, just to carry the liquid liquid gas dan sebagainya. Kalau kita guna container, there are different types of different type of ship dan sebagainya. So these are the rule of transport. It's just to move people and just to move goods from a place to another place until it reach the final destination. Final destination ni mungkin the general consumer ni. The other destination setengah goods tu final destination mungkin dia kat factory. From the factory tu they produce another goods, for example. It become another good in another factory dan sebagainya. So, why we need efficient and effective transportation system? Pasal apa kita nak efficient and effective transportation system? There are two. Yang paling the main important thing because of the cost and customer. Customer services. Customer services. We want to to fulfill customer punya satisfaction. The cost. We have to consider the cost. We need to be efficient. We need to be effective because of the cost. We want when we operate, kita operate transportation company ni, we want to incur the lowest possible cost possible when we serve the customer ni. Cost there, every miles, every movement that we make, we consume fuel, for example. There is a cost to the company. Asia, at one time ni, macam saya bagi tahu dulu, when the cost of fuel went up in 2013, if I'm not mistaken, went up to 130 barrel a day. A barrel, $130 a barrel. Satu barrel $130 US dollar a barrel. So how they deal with this fuel increase ni, the price increase ni. So they impose a fuel surcharge to the passenger. And some airline, they went bankrupt because they cannot handle the cost. They cannot sustain this cost increment ini. So that's why we need to be efficient and effective. Dalam nak menentukan, for example, the number of passengers that we can carry. Kalau lah we just carry kalaulah we have 40 seat in our bus ataupun in an aircraft we have 120 seat and DC-10 punya tu katalah mass ni kita ada 120 seat, kita only sell ticket for 100 ticket, the other 20 itu dah vacant or that is not for the company. Kalau kita tengok load factor tu dia ada load factor punya ni, kalau lah load factor for that particular routes ni katalah 70%. We just achieve 70% your load factor, mean that we are break even. Kalau lah we achieve less than that, we carry less than that, mean that we are operating at a loss, for example. Now we have to consider the cost ni and customer satisfaction. The customer is very important because from the customer ni we can generate our income. Kita generate our income. Without income ni, tanpa income tu kita tak boleh tampung our cost, at the same time we cannot generate profit dan sebagainya. Okay. Lowest, then another one is dia kata transport company must provide service lowest cost possible. Yang the second one is competitive advantage. Cost customer ni, because kita company transportation ni, kita bukan monopoli. We compete with the other company. There are many companies providing the same service. There are many courier services. There are many bus companies operating from Changlun to KL. There are many airline operating katalah from KL to another part of the world, from Singapore to another part of the world dan sebagainya. So we must be competitive. Now, in order to be competitive, we have to control our cost. And at the same time, we have to increase our customer service level. So that is why we have to, kata cost and customer ni penting. Maintaining current customer is crucial because it involve our cost. Kalaulah kita tak boleh ni, so because the cost of promotion is very high. If we can maintain our customer, they become our repeat punya, dia guna lagi, they are loyal to us, so we can save the cost of promotion. We can put less on the advertisement on promotion dan sebagainya, and it is costly to recruit new customer. We have to do the advertisement, we have to do frequent visit, you have to make a call dan sebagainya. Itu yang simple-simpelnya kita kena, kadang-kadang kita nak provide ajak dia pergi makan dan sebagainya. There's a marketing punya promotion punya cara juga. So when we talk about the effective ni, we can differentiate between these two. Efficient ni involve cost and productivity, and effective ni, efficient ni dia involve RM monetary punya, the cost, productivity, the cost, ballpark cost dia dan sebagainya. Data efficient organization is the one which can provide service with the lowest cost per unit of measurement. Per unit of lowest cost kita nak provide. Sebab apa, kalau kita tak boleh provide cost ni, dia akan tuan-tuan boleh nampak kat depan ni tak? Nampak slide kan?
Ya, nampak slide, sir.
Okay, good.
Boleh nampak, doktor.
Okay, good. Efficient organization is the one which can provide a service with the lowest cost per unit of measurement. Kita kena provide the lowest cost per unit. Unit of measurement there are many. Kita boleh ni, there are many. Passenger revenue kilometer, ton kilometer, we can check based on our number of ton that we handle, we divide into the total number of kilometer. The number of revenue that we get from a service, for example, we can calculate based on each individual journey ataupun for the monthly or for the yearly punya ni. The ton miles kilometer, the passenger mile kilometer, passenger kilometer hour, dia macam-macam. There are many unit of management. So kalau yang based on this unit management ni, we know so whether we are efficient or we are inefficient in providing this kind of service in the business ni. Kalau lah we ada kita punya cost is the lowest, and they can benchmark us again dalam industri ni. Okay, those who are industry, they can benchmark. Okay, the most efficient is this company because dia punya passenger revenue dekat per kilometer is the highest dan sebagainya, ataupun in term of cost is the lowest dan sebagainya. So they can productivity begitu juga. Productivity macam kat port, we can measure the productivity from the number of container we handle from the ship to the shore. Daripada kapal kita handle, kita dulunya kita punya productivity is about 25 movement an hour, but now the productivity increase jadi 35 movement, 35 movement to 40 movement an hour. So that is dia punya ni. Kemudian efektif ni is the number of passenger, number of goods carried, the coverage of service. Kita mesti, kalau kita compare okay, kita punya contoh dia Grab food, okay, dia just cover in that area. Kalau kita put Panda, dia punya coverage lebih banyak contoh. So they are more effective than dia punya competitors. Contoh ni saya bagi ya. Kemudian the number of kita based on dia punya type of vehicle boleh juga. Kalau kita compare the bus company, bus we compare to the a car, so bus is more effective because they can carry more passenger than a car. LRT is more effective than a bus because LRT can carry more passenger, they can accommodate more, they can carry more than a bus, for example. Or MRT, they are more effective than LRT because MRT can accommodate more passenger, they can carry more passenger dan sebagainya. So this is effective ni more on the number of passenger, more on the number of goods that can carry, ataupun dia punya the coverage of the coverage of a service ni. So in transportation we divide efficient and effective based on this ni. Kalau efficient ni cost productivity, effective ni more on the number of passenger dan sebagainya. So there are ni major cost of doing, there are many cost of doing business ni. Kita we will incur manufacturing cost, we have to spend to cover the marketing cost, we have the logistic, kemudian tolak semua ni, we can get profit ni. Yang ni just example, from RM1 sale for example. Daripada RM1 sale ni jualan kita, so 48 cent goes to cover the manufacturing cost. 27 cent to cover the marketing cost and 21 cent to cover the logistic cost. There is the sebab we study logistic, we concentrate on logistic cost ni. If now we can katalah do improvement, we can instead of katalah we just study, we do improvement. Kalau dulu we take longer punya route, but now we just cut the route, dia punya route tu, jalan tu lebih pendek, shorter route in delivering goods dan punya ni. Daripada 21 sen umpamanya kita hanya incur dalam 15 sen. So if we can cut cost, kita boleh cut cost logistik ni. Jadi kita punya logistik cost ni jadi 16 sen umpamanya. So dia punya kesan dia, we will increase our profit another 6 sen. Mean that from RM1 sale tu we can get we can get 10 sen as a profit. Contoh ni. Nanti kalau orang manufacturing dia akan calculate lah how to reduce dia punya cost, gitu juga on the marketing, because we concentrate on the logistic cost ni. So kita cut kita punya distance. Contoh lah, there are many ways. Satunya kita cut kita punya distance. Dari segi keduanya, we have a new fleet umpamanya, and our lorry ni, the new lorry ke ataupun kapal terbang ke atau apa ke, consume less fuel umpamanya. Contoh. So by doing that, we can reduce the logistic cost, at the same time we can add this to the profit daripada 10 sen. Ini daripada RM1 jualan. Kita ni kadang-kadang kita punya jualan mungkin dalam setahun tu 100 juta. Daripada 100 juta tu dulunya the profit is just only 4 sen, mean the profit is just katalah 4 million, but now because of the improvement that we made, now the profit from 100 million sale ni, we can increase the profit to 10 million. So that is the impact. The impact kalau kita boleh reduce, kita boleh reduce our cost of doing business, we can increase our profit ni. So this yang tadilah effective, efficient ni. Kalau kita compare which one, kita tengok aircraft ke, bicycle ke. So this one kita tengok the most efficient among these things ni, selalunya the most efficient yang mana. And which are the most effective. The effective ni kita tengok the efficient in the segi cost, productivity dia, and the effective ni dari segi jumlah yang paling banyak boleh bawa dalam sesuatu perjalanan itu. Kalau kita compare LRT dengan MRT for example, light rail transit, mass rapid transit between these two. Of course the MRT, because the MRT ni mass, dia pun boleh bawa banyak lagi compare LRT dia light. So they have some limitation on this one. Kalau kita LRT compare to the car, of course, we juga dengan aircraft ni, airplane ni, aircraft ni. Aircraft pula, there are many type of the aircraft. Ada DC-10, ada they have a certain just 120 seat, ada setengah 200 over, ada setengah 300 over. Kalau lah Boeing Airbus A380 tu kita convert the largest punya passenger aircraft tu, we convert to a single class. Kita kata tak ada business class, first class, just economy class. They can carry almost 900, tak sampai dekat 900 passenger dalam ni. So kita kata they are more effective than the smaller aircraft dan sebagainya. So transportation affect the person lifestyle, where we want to work. Kadang-kadang kita kata, okay, tak boleh, saya tak ada pengangkutan because I need to nak pergi tempat kerja tu mesti ada transportation because I rely on the public transport, bus dan sebagainya. Saya nak tinggal di this area because it close to the public transportation dan sebagainya. So effect kita punya lifestyle, growth of the suburban area. Dulu KL is just KL lah. Just isolated. Kemudian we have the suburban, kawasan pinggiran bandar suburban ni PJ, Petaling Jaya. Then we have the Ceras, we have the Kajang, we have the Gombak, we have the Segambut, apa semua area ni. But now ni because the expansion ni almost merge lah. PJ dengan KL pun kadang-kadang we cannot differentiate the boundary lah. Kalau lah 20-30 tahun dulu, so masa saya ada di KL dulu ni, saya kerja sana, so we can see the we could see the boundary. But now because of the growth, so yang ni pula PJ ke Taman Melati Hulu Kelang ke Kajang ke, they have ada dia punya connectivity ni with transportation with the KL. Salah satu sebabnya dia improve the infrastructure dan sebagainya. So dia dah jadi bandaraya PJ dan sebagainya. And it also transportation helps in the tourism industry ni. Without transportation, even though katalah kita ada very good punya beach umpamanya, pantai yang elok, tapi without the transportation infrastructure, transportation services, we cannot utilize the extra that we have tu. Kita ada kelebihan pantai cantik contoh, but we do not build the access road to that area. We don't have the services. Tak ada orang pergi tempat tu. Macam Langkawi tak ada. Kalau contoh tak ada jalinan pengangkutan tu Langkawi umpamanya, Langkawi could not prosper as it today. So that is why transportation is very important. And when we talk about the demand for transportation ni kita tahulah, as I explain, macam saya explain minggu lepas ni, sebab ada setengah tempat dia tak produce benda tu, kita ada gap, ada setengah dia lebih, dia memang buat benda tu, dia ada certain area tu dia specialize on the area. So transportation ni menghubungkan these two area ni. Dia ada gap dia ni. So yang ni. So demand for transportation ni, yang ni konsepnya, is a derived demand. Derived demand ni maksud dia we demand on other thing. Kita demand on other thing, at the same time we create demand on transportation. We demand kita masuk Shopee umpamanya, we buy a product. Kita nak beli produk, but nak hantar dekat kita tu di Shopee punya ni ataupun company ni, they require transportation services. Without transportation, they could not send the product to us. So at the same time we create demand for transportation ini. Demand for transportation. Kita nak pergi melawat. We want to visit our relative dekat hospital umpamanya. We demand for kita nak pergi tengok dia, but we demand for the Uber, Grab punya Mycar punya services, taxi punya services, bus punya services dan sebagainya. Transport ni is just a mean. Mean ni cara lah ataupun alat to an end untuk kita nak mencapai matlamat kita. It's just a mean. Transportation ni, so we order something, but nak deliver tu at the same time they demand for the transportation service. Indirectly kita create demand for transportation. And another concept lagi, transport cannot be stopped. Kita tak boleh nak simpan pengangkutan ni. Kita nak mean that if they travel together. Kalaulah satu kapal laut umpamanya, kalau dia half full lah dia travel. Dia tak boleh kerat yang kosong tu and we travel later when there is a demand. No, cannot. They travel together. bas daripada Changlun to Alostar ada 40 seat, only katalah 20 seat saja kita dapat jual. The other 20 itu vacant seat, kosong. Kita kata tak boleh. Kita dismantle punya seat, kita simpan untuk esok punya sale. No, cannot because they travel together. There is kata transport cannot be stored. Kita tak boleh nak simpan for later punya jualan yang ni. Nah. So it represent a lost revenue to the company forever. So we kalau dalam pengangkutan ni we have to kita kena ingat benda ni, nah, because it cannot, so we have to maximize our sale ni. Macam mana kita nak maximize our sale? Walaupun kalaulah kita kata kapal terbang ni ada lagi 5-10 seat kosong. Nah, that is our income. Suppose ni sepatutnya income to the company. Nah, sepatutnya kita charge RM200 for each seat tu. Now because of the 10 seat vacant ni, kita hilang 2,000 a trip saja. 2,000 a trip. If not, we can add 2,000 in our trip yang ni. So bila-bila pun kita akan hilang. Kemudian kita classify transportation. Transportation we can classify. Kita boleh classify, kita boleh bagi according to passenger and good transport. Passenger transport ni macam passenger transport ni macam human, kita manusia, manusia movement of people, budak-budak, orang tua, those are disabled dan sebagainya, dia ada kategori dia dan sebagainya. Kemudian we have the good transport, the freight transport. The freight yang bawa freight ni goods, the freight transport ni. Yang ni bawa lain daripada manusia macam animal, raw material, semi-finished good, finished good, macam-macam. Raw material ni pun macam-macam jenis. Ada yang macam arang batu, ada yang macam yang dekat ada dekat Kuantan dulu bauksit. So dia macam-macam. Dia ada bentuk cecair, dia ada bentuk yang boleh masuk dalam kontainer dan sebagainya. So these are the good transport, the freight transport, movement of good, movement of ni. Kita boleh classify according to the passenger and goods. Berbeza sebab passenger dia nak kerusi, dia nak nyaman dan sebagainya, ada aircon dan sebagainya. The good transport that is depend on the type of good. Kalau kita bawa animal, there are certain kind of facilities that we have to provide. The raw material, semi-finished, finished. Ada je kalau kita bawa berlian umpamanya, the diamond, we carry diamond. Okay, what kind of facilities that we need to have? We have to improve the security dan sebagainya. Kemudian, walking is a basic type of transport. This is the basic asas, paling asas is kita berjalan walking. Because it takes us from a point to another point by walking. Setengah area macam di Gunung Kinabalu, di Kinabalu Mountain tu, Gunung Kinabalu tu, we cannot access by using truck ke, lori ke, kereta ke, motor ke, to the top ataupun dekat persinggahan tengah tu. So normally we rely, what normally they do is they rely on the human porter. Human porter ni lah yang bawa all the supplies ni. Macam mana makanan lah, bawa bawa tong gas ke. Ya, tong gas mereka bawa je, ni mereka boleh bawa. So this is a kind of transportation ya, because it take it move from a place to another place. It deliver goods ni. Macam Gunung Everest. Kat Gunung Everest tu. Nak bawa supply of oxygen to and mereka akan tinggal kat dia punya camp dan sebagainya tu, they use the human punya ni. Tengah-tengahnya yang boleh access by, yang tak boleh access by heli tu. Because helikopter ni dia ada certain height udara yang paling tinggi kurang oksigen dia punya nipis punya tu helikopter tak boleh sampai kat situ. Kalau nak rely on the aircraft nak ada landing punya stripe landing tempat runway dia atas bukit susah nak ni. So what normally ni kita rely on the human punya human punya portal ni. Kemudian we can classify according to motorized. Motorized ni bermotor lah. Bermotor, ada motor dan sebagainya. Buah minyak, ada asap, ada bateri. Kemudian non-motorized transport. Any form of transportation. Sebarang bentuk transportation that provide personal or good mobility by method other than combustion motor. Nah, human porter, macam saya mention tadi, human porter, bicycle. Bicycle ni yang tak ada motor sekarang, bicycle pun dah ada motor lah. Nah. Kemudian animal drawn cart, macam bawa melalui kuda, kereta lembu umpamanya. So that is animal drawn cart ni. Masih lagi digunakan di setengah tempat. Di Malaysia dulu, masa tahun 70-an, saya pernah, yang ni banyak lah. But now sekarang ni kawasan-kawasan untuk pertanian pun dia ada lagi kot kalau tak salah saya. Some area of Malaysia system of transport. Human portal saya kata yang naik ke Gunung Kinabalu tu. Kemudian we can classify juga according to private transport and public transport. Private transport ni kita punya hak individu, privately owned, milik sendiri. A private car, a private car dengan taxi. Taxi lain, taxi ni is a public transport. Kereta belong to us, is a private car. Apa lagi? Yang private-nya motorcycle. Kalau Gojek kat Indonesia tu. Is a kind of dia public transport. Dia buat macam e-hailing tapi pakai motor. Kalau public transport, a transportation services shared by general public yang dikongsi oleh orang ramai, orang awam ni, shared by, and we have to pay for a fee lah. Kita naik bas, bukan kita seorang, orang lain pun guna bas tu juga, taxi. When they selepas dia hantar orang lain, kita pula naik dan sebagainya. Dulu taxi ni dia boleh angkut ke sekali naik 2-3 destination. Sekarang ni selalunya satu taxi untuk satu destination, 2-3 orang ke seorang 2 ke, just for a destination. A train, for example, aircraft services, air transport services ni. Normally public transport dalam selalunya untuk sebut bas, taxi, kereta api, the train ni, aircraft pun boleh juga. Aircraft ni sebab dulu ni aircraft ni nampak macam mahal sikit, tetapi sekarang ni aircraft ni, air transport services ni almost the same macam yang lain. Macam kita daripada Alostar nak pergi ke KL ni, the ticket sometimes is much lower than the bus ticket from Changlun to to KL. Kalau Changlun to KL 50-60 ringgit, Air Asia punya tiket mungkin dalam 30-40 ringgit dulu lah. Masa saya pernah naik dulu Firefly RM9.99 daripada Alostar ke KL. Dulu ada kelas kat sana, saya ambil tiket tu. Dan Air Asia dalam RM20 saya pernah dapat dan sebagainya. Kalau kita beli awal, kita dapat harga yang murah. So murah. Kemudian kita pergi ke transport mode. Hari ni saya nak explain tentang projek kita nak buat hari ni lah. Saya nak bagi lecture, kemudian baru saya nak explain tentang benda-benda ni. Transport mode. Transport mode, road transport. Kita ada mode, there are many. Okay, there are many. Modes ni, macam road. Mode ni macam kereta, macam lori, macam bus. They move on the road ni, road transport, jalan raya, jalan. Darat ni apa panggil land darat selalunya. Kalau land darat ni selalunya mereka combine land ni, road dengan rail. Ni road ni roadnya, rail ni rail. Macam di Singapura dia ada Land Transport Authority. Kita pun dulu ada PAD, Suruhanjaya Pengurusan Awam Darat, land, darat, Land Transport Authority. Ya, kita ada dulu before they change to APAD. Because dia punya jurisdiction ni dia control road and rail. Yang ni tak apalah for the sake, kita kata mode ni dia ada road, kita ada rail. Rail transport. Rail transport ni kereta api lah. Kita ada monorail, kita ada MRT, LRT, the different kind of rail based service. High speed train, that's rail macam. Kemudian we have the air transport, udara punya air transport. we have the water, we have the sea transport. Kalau dekat US ni, water transport ni dia refer to the terusan sungai, the river transport, the sea ni dia refer kepada laut lah. Tapi lebih kita ni lah, kita akan tengok benda yang sama, water, sea ni. Ni sea transport dia laut lah. Termasuklah dengan ocean lah. Ocean transport kita kira sea juga lah. Sea ni macam laut Tengah Selatan, tak besar sangat lah. Kalau ocean ni macam lautan Hindi. Sea ni laut Cina Selatan. Kalau ocean lautan Pasifik. Lautan Pasifik besar lah. Lautan Atlantik besar. Kalau sea ni dia tak besar, besar ya lautan laut Cina Selatan ni. Dia ni laut Cina Selatan dia dalam apa? Pasifik ke dalam Atlantik? Ke dalam apa ni? Cari. Water, sea. Kemudian we will learn about the pipeline. Pipeline tak ni sangat. Pipeline ni kita ada projek gas Semenanjung. Kalau tuan-tuan pergi ke Changlun, nak turun daripada highway ni, nak turun Jalan Lama ke Pekan Changlun tu, kat sebelah kiri tu. Dia ada macam pump station dekat situ yang untuk ni. Dia ada tulis tu projek gas Semenanjung dekat salah saya. Dekat Europe they have extensive punya pipeline punya network. Dekat Canada very extensive dengan dekat US ada pipeline punya pipeline punya network ni. Kita ni. Pipeline ni kita boleh bawa barang-barang cair lah. Water, kita boleh bawa minyak, kita boleh bawa gas yang dimanfaatkan sebagai liquid. Kalau gas susah kita tidak memanfaat. Kemudian ada setengah yang short ni punya ni chemical. Ada dekat Belanda dia bawa susu for how many kilometer, saya tak ingat. Tapi taklah, in general tu kita bawa, kebanyakan kita bawa minyak, kita bawa gas, kita bawa air yang ni sangat. Dekat Europe ni ada yang bawa gas yang air panas dan sebagainya ada juga. Okay, transport, logistik and supply chain. We will look into this three. Transport saya dah explain lah transport, kita nak tengok logistik and supply chain. Sambil-sambil tu kita akan sulam-sulam lah yang ni. So logistik ni lama lah term dia. It was used by the military dulu lagi. Before the business organisation ni, they use the term logistik ni. Nak supply barang dia dan sebagainya, they start using the logistik. It was used by it has been used by the military lama dah. Dulu masa the British when they fought war dekat US dulu, mereka kalah perang, they lost the war. One of the reason, salah satu sebabnya is because of the logistic issue. They rely dia punya supplies, dia punya bekalan dia direct from the England, UK tu. Nak dapat daripada lambat because the delivery of supplies, ammunition ke support daripada UK ni, because dia punya jarak daripada UK to US tu jauh so perang. So that is one of the reason. Business pun so far tu juga. Store, the Tesco store, they have 50 stores in Malaysia ni, Peninsula Malaysia ni. Dia ada 50 cawangan, branches store di Malaysia. So they have to decide where to put our distribution center. We don't want to incur kita ataupun mereka tak mau alami out of stock umpamanya. So we have to think, okay, barang Tesco Alustar ada 2 Jitra ni, barang nak ni. So when to replenish the product dan sebagainya. So that is dia punya lebih kurang military punya konsep juga. Military punya. Kemudian the new term emerge ni, the supply chain. Kita akan tengok sekali lagi. Logistik ni, they have many names. Business logistik, because they want to differentiate between the military punya logistik. Then they mention about logistik juga, channel management. Macam mana kita nak salurkan barang kita, kemudian distribution of product, nak distribute, we produce things, we produce barang-barang. Then how we going to distribute this product? This is logistik juga. industrial distribution, industrial logistics. They have many names. Material management, physical distribution, logistics, quick response time, supply chain management. Benson ni dia define logistik ni as the art of maintaining control over worldwide supply chain. Kita macam mana kita nak control supply chain. Dia guna supply chain by combination of transport, warehousing skill, distribution management and information technology. So maksud dia di sini logistik ni concern with transportation, warehousing, distribution and information technology. Macam mana kita control, kita uruskan, we manage this transportation, we manage our warehouse, we have to manage the distribution and at the same time we utilize the information technology. So this is the given by Benson in 1994 dulu ni. It bridge regions ni, maksud dia sambung geographic gap in complex pattern management. Macam saya kata tadi lah, tempat daripada consumer nak hantar kepada final consumer, daripada sini nak hantar kepada factory dan sebagainya. Transport ni alat untuk nak ni. Then Council of Logistic Management, dia ada satu council of Logistic Management before they change their name. Sebelum dia tukar nama ni, dulu ada satu Council Logistic Management. Dia kata logistik ni is part ni sebahagian lah of the supply chain process, sebahagian daripada supply chain process that plan, yang merancang, implement and control. Yang ni plan, implement and control ni is management lah. Management yang tuan-tuan belajar ni, pengantar pengurusan tu tentang planning, organizing, leading, controlling. Ni pun sama lah, dia tak sebut yang tu. So yang ni dia kata is a plan, implement, control the efficient and effective forward. Macam mana kita nak mengurus plan yang ni, maksud mengurus efficient, kita nak kira, kita nak jaga kos kita tak ni, efektif, barang-barang kita banyak mana kita nak hantar, forward and reverse flow. Barang ni dia move forward. Kita daripada contoh dia daripada supplier ni, kita daripada arang batu, macam mana dia hantar sampai kepada consumer. Daripada kita produce apa-apa, sampai kita buat barang, kemudian another barang dan sebagainya, sampai kepada forward ke depan. Ataupun reverse flow. Reverse flow ni terbalik. Kita dah beli TV kita rosak. Kita pergi dekat company tu hantar balik kepada, they send back to the factory ataupun dia punya tempat service center. That is a reverse. Terbalik daripada final consumer back to the service center dan sebagainya. And storage, dia kata effective forward and reverse flow and storage of good. Storage of good and services. Yang ni melibatkan warehouse lah. And related information. Dalam warehouse tu kita ada inventory, kita ada macam-macam. Related information between, we have to communicate between this. Between the point of origin and the point of consumption in order to meet customer requirement. Maksud dia movement ni, dalam logistik ni kita nak, how we manage the movement ni. Movement barang ni from one area to another area to the final punya destination. How we manage at the same setengah-setengah area tu, we have to put in warehouse. Hantar, kemudian they have another warehouse dan sebagainya. So this is the movement. Macam mana kita nak menguruskan movement of goods ni yang ni. Movement of goods, transportation, siapa nak bawa ni, warehouse mana, kena kira inventory dan sebagainya. So yang ni logistik. Okay. The term logistic and supply chain management are often used interchangeably. Kadang-kadang kita tak dapat differentiate logistic and supply chain. Dia kata kadang-kadang kita guna sama transport, logistik, supply chain all the same. Kita kata all are the same. Kita kata use interchangeably. Logistik dia kata is actually a subset of supply chain management. Logistik ni adalah sebahagian daripada supply chain management. Supply chain management. Dia kata is a sebahagian daripada ni. Sebahagian daripada supply chain management. Ingat logistik supply chain management ni dia ada view dia. Inclusionist punya view, evolutionist punya view, interactionist punya view. Ni pandangan kita lah. Kita ni kategori mana? Kita masuk dalam inclusionist ke, evolutionist ke, kita dalam intersectionist ke. Inclusionist, katalah ni macam mazhab lah. Kau ni bermazhab inclusionist. kau ni mazhab evolutionist, kau ni intersectionist. Yang ni dia kata logistik logistik activity ni come under the supply chain management. Semua logistik activity terletak bawah supply chain management. Evolutionist ni kata pula dulu kita panggil logistik, but now because of the many complexity of doing business dan sebagainya, we call it supply chain management. Intersectionist pula kata okay, ada setengah-setengah activity they share the same activity. Contoh transportation, warehousing, inventory, they have a common punya activity. So dia intersect between intersectionist punya ni. This is dia punya view lah. So dia kata supply chain management include dia kata include more activity than logistic management. The inclusionist viewpoint prevail. Maksud dia pengguna pendapat. Siapa yang guna? This is Council of Logistic Management. Yang kita kata tadi sebelum dia tukar nama. Council of Logistic Management change its name to Council of Supply Chain Management Professional. Council of Supply Chain to reflect what was perceived as the broader nature of the field. Even the name pun they changed. Dulunya it was known as a Council of Logistic Management, but now they are known as the Council of Supply Chain Management Professional. Nak ubah dia punya ni. Dia punya ni. Okay. Apa? So logistik ni is a task of managing two key flow. Material flow, information flow. Ada setengah buku dia letak financial flow. Sampai kita ambil ni. Material flow. Material ni barang lah. Physical good from supplier through distribution center to the store and to the final consumer. Material flow. Kadang-kadang kita kena arrange lori, nak hantar beli perabot kat kedai umpamanya. Nak kedai hantar beli kat Harvey Norman. Macam mana dia arrange sampai kepada kita the final punya consumer ni. Material flow movement ataupun information flow. Information ni maklumat lah. Data-data, percakapan, the demand data from end customer back to purchasing and supplier is a two-way punya conversation. Dulu mungkin the information ni based on verbal, but now is kita guna teknologi. We key in how many to order dan sebagainya. And sampai dekat penjual, okay, they send based on the data, that information that they have from the consumer tu. So the material flow can be accurately planned and controlled. So yang ni contoh lah. Material flow dairy cooperative. Ni lembu ni. Lembu ni tak apa. Yang ni nak cerita tentang cheese. Kita ambil susu, bukan kita ambil daging ni, kita ambil susu. Dia contoh nak buat cheese. Ambil susu, kita hantar ke Kelang factory, cheese factory, they produce cheese, kemudian dia hantar ke National Distribution Center, contohlah kemudian dia ada retailer punya Tesco yang ni, kita ada Maidin, kita apa, okey. Dia ada depa punya retailer punya distribution center, kemudian retailer punya store. Yang ni warehouse dia, yang ni kat store dia, Alostar, Jitra, Alostar ada dua umpamanya. Kat Penang lagi dan sebagainya, and to the end customer. Normally dia punya movement daripada sini ke kiri, daripada kiri to the right ni, one way punya movement. Except kalau ada reverse flow, rosak, susu, keju ni buang sajalah, dia hantar balik ni. Tapi kalau kita beli kipas angin rosak, dia will be a reverse flow ni. Kemudian information flow ni dia two way. Dia communicate as I mentioned dulu guna mulut verbal, but now we use the technology. Now we communicate, even the link setengah-setengah tu dia link with the supplier ni. Dia link dia punya system to the supplier yang ni from the cow to the customer. Bukan kita ni cerita pasal cheese, bukan pasal daging lembu dah apa. Yang ni kita perah lembu ni dekat dairy punya kooperatif ni, tempat apa-apa ni, kemudian kita hantar, kita produce ni kat factory dan sebagainya. Ni tak apa, ni saya akan explain sambil tu chapter 14 tu sampai chapter 14 tentang apa, tentang just in time. Kita sekarang ni we want to cut the cost of keeping the stock ni. We produce the just in time pun dia ada pro and cons dia. Ada kebaikan keburukan dia Sometimes the delivery truck ni the trap in the traffic jam, they cannot be on time or it affect the production. Kilang-kilang nak produce, sekarang dia tak mau ada ni, dia macam Proton umpamanya. Proton, contohlah Proton Tanjung Malim, saya contoh ya. Dia tak payah nak simpan ni tayar daripada kilang Continental, contoh kalau dia ambil Continental lah. Continental di Alostar tu, Jerman punya company. Dulu Dunlop kat situ. Dia hantar, okay, nak pasang berapa, dia mungkin ada 4-5 kali. Mungkin dia nak first delivery P8, second delivery ke berapa, tak sampai. Before they fix to the car dan sebagainya. So they can save the inventory punya cost, keeping dalam stok dan sebagainya. Banyak cost dia boleh save. Dan material requirement planning, MR pengurangan nanti buat ni kita lihat. Okay. Dulu ni, this ada dia punya aktiviti lah. Kita tengok demand forecasting. Ni logistik aktiviti ni. Purchasing, now procurement. Kita panggil. Dulu purchasing, now they expand the scope. Dia disebut procurement. Requirement planning, production planning, warehousing. Now warehouse ni. There are many type of warehouse ni. Warehouses ni, transportation. These are the logistik punya aktiviti. Yang ni material management. Dulu masa I was at your age dulu, saya umur tuan-tuan dulu ni, saya tak belajar logistik, saya belajar material management. I learn, they split into two. Material management and physical distribution management. Material management dulu subject is concerned on the management of raw material ni. Raw material. Yang ni physical distribution ni more on the finished product. So dulu ada 2 subjek. Material management, kemudian dia combine, dia buat logistik saja. These two tak ada masuk, dia absorb dalam logistik ni. Kemudian now there is another ni supply chain management yang saya explain. Tahun 2000 tu ada new term emerge. Supply chain management. Dia berkata now we utilize extensively their information technology marketing sale adalah dia punya sebenarnya yang ni lah yang saya explain yang ni. Even the supply chain management pun dia ada orang dispute dia dulu. It should be a demand chain. Sebab demand ni permintaan yang trigger ni all this activity ni. Tanpa demand there will be no activity dan sebagainya. Contoh depa argue tapi depa guna supply chain management. Okay, supply chain management data include all logistic management activity. Dia kata, tapi supply chain ni dia include inter-coordination and collaboration with channel partner. Channel partner ni mungkin jadi supplier kita, intermediary, third party service provider. They work closely, will work closely with this supplier, intermediary dan sebagainya. Even they link the system with the to each other punya sistem ni. Depa ada third party service provider. Macam sekarang ni kita tak simpan barang dekat macam Mazda umpamanya, Mazda kereta. Mazda ni dia punya market tak besar di Malaysia. So kalau dia nak jual kereta di Malaysia, so Mazda ni dia tak ada warehouse. They appoint a third party. They give it to the third party to manage their warehouse. Sebab tak padatlah dengan jumlah dia calculate on the cost umpamanya. And the third party service provider ni can give them better service dan sebagainya. Kalaulah kita contohnya accident, kita bawa CX-5 umpamanya, accident, nak kena replacement windshield tu, cermin depan pecah. We go to the workshop make an order to Mazda and the system link to the PKT. Dia ada satu company, a third party punya ni. So this company ni they simpan all the spare part for the Mazda. Nak ambil any spare part ada kat company ni. So this company will send direct, bukan Mazda punya company this another third party punya company send direct to the warehouse tu. By doing this, the Mazda can save so they don't have to build ataupun lease a warehouse, to appoint, recruit staff to man the warehouse, to put the security dan sebagainya. You don't have to worry about that. Dia punya ni adalah jual kereta saja. If anything on the spare part, there is another company yang akan handle. That is normal dalam macam saya bagi contoh last class lah on the on the unique busnya. Unique bus yang UM-nya tu is a third party punya service provider. UUM dulu dia buat sendiri, sekarang ni dia berikat unit yang angkut provide the in-campus bus services student punya ni dalam campus tu. There is a third party. Anything lambat, student stranded ke apa, so they will be held responsible for this student stranded dan sebagainya. So this is dia punya ni. Maksudnya dia include coordination and collaboration with channel partner. In essence, dia kata sebagai integrate supply and demand management within and across company. Kalau dulu mungkin logistik single company saja, but dia yang ni supply chain integrate. Dia punya supply and demand within and across company ni. Silang company dan sebagainya. So dia melihat kepada lagi dia dalam lebih luas lagi dia punya dari segi pergerakan barangan dan sebagainya. Macam mana dia coordinate, dia collaborate dan sebagainya. Okey, supply planning, yang ni sama je. Planning and management, procurement, commercial, logistik, termasuk coordination, collaboration, channel partner, ada istilah. Okay, we go for the element of transport. Okay, tak mahu. Lagi saya explain semua tentang apa. Okay, boleh scan? Try scan, boleh dapat tak? Sebelum saya move to the element of transport, component of transport. Apa dia? Sami tu siapa nak tanya lah, tak ada masalah. Siapa yang tak boleh nak scan, tak apa, bagi tahu saya akan buat manual punya scan.